Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mac Story.
Hello, everyone. This is Mac Story. Today, I want to talk to you about the two greatest lessons I ever learned from a coworker. And I actually talk about these. They're in the very front of my book on blue collar leadership, leading from the front lines. It's basically giving credit to my coworkers. I say it's the greatest lesson that I ever learned from a frontline leader. And remember, when I talk about leadership is influence. So in that book, I'm not talking about a boss. I'm talking about a leader, someone who influenced me. And I remember it was 1995. And the two things they told me was, they hadn't actually, I take that back, they didn't tell me. They just modeled it. And one thing we say about leadership's more caught than taught. And I caught these lessons from this person. And basically what they were modeling that I caught, and they never did say this, and I had never read leadership books, but I grabbed this lesson from this person while they were training me. One of the things was always give credit to others when things go right, and take responsibility when things go wrong. And that's what that person did. Whenever I was training and I come up with a new idea or I did a great job, this person who was training me, who was just a fellow co-worker, both of us were machine operators, frontline entry-level machine operators, running CNC lathes and mills, vertical milling centers, and things like that. And whenever things would go right, especially if I come up with a really great idea while I was training, and we were talking or trying to figure out something or a better way to do something, he'd flag down the supervisor when the supervisor would pass by and call him over there and call me over there and in front of me. And he had already told me I did a good job and that was awesome, kind of thing. But then he would call the supervisor over and call me over and tell the supervisor in front of me and give me credit. And that made a big impact on me. And that happened in 1995. But also sometimes I would screw up while I was training. Sometimes I would make a wrong adjustment and scrap an expensive part. Or maybe I put in a wrong offset in a tool and cause the tool to run into the part, actually scrap a part and damage the tooling and have to have that replaced, or sometimes have to get maintenance to come over and true the machine back up, those sort of things. So whenever that would happen, he'd have to call the supervisor over to either get the part scrapped and rejected or to get the supervisor to call maintenance. But what he would do then is in front of me, he would take the credit, or take the blame, I should say. He was taking the blame for what went wrong, even though it was my fault. And I was standing there, I'm trying to do the same thing because it was my fault. So I'm standing there trying to say, hey, this is my fault. No, he's saying that, but it was my fault. I knew what to do and I didn't do it. But he would always take the blame. He said, yeah, you might have made that mistake, but I should have been paying attention. I should have prevented you from making that mistake. I'm here to train you. So those lessons impacted me. I never forgot those lessons. And again, nobody taught them to me, but I caught them while this coworker was modeling them. So I want to share them with you today. And you think about that. You don't even know that person, but just hearing the story, does that person build trust with you or distrust? Just knowing that little bit of thing about them. And so it's the same way with me. He built trust with me on two fronts. And I'm like, I can use that to build trust with other people. So I started doing that intentionally. I look for ways to give other people credit when things were going right. And I look for ways to take the blame when things were going wrong. So again, that comes from the front of my Blue Collar Leadership, Leading from the Front Lines book. It actually comes from the acknowledgement section. I just have that in there to open up the front end of that book. So If you're interested, that book is full of nuggets like that. Some of them I was taught throughout my life. Some of them I caught throughout my life. And if you don't know about that little book, 30 chapters, 3 pages per chapter, and it's full of nuggets, leadership nuggets, and lessons that allowed me to get promoted 14 times during my 20-year career. And I should have been fired about 100 times, but I got promoted because I was very effective at doing the job and doing the work. I should have been fired purely because of my character. And I've talked about that on other episodes, and I'm sure I will later, but I just wanted to give you that nugget about those the two greatest lessons I ever learned from a frontline leader. And again, that person was an entry-level frontline leader. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Go check out that audio book if you haven't listened to it. It's on paperback, ebook, audio book. I know you listen to this podcast, you must like audio. So most of my books are on audio. I think there's 9 of my books are on audio and some of Ria's. So keep going and growing and intentionally take yourself to the next level and beyond. Nobody else is going to do it. You have to do it. Think about who you are. Not just sometime, all the time, because who you are matters. Have a great day. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.